Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Balls Out podcast and another edition of Red Devils Roundup. And we are here on the back of actually quite a decent result. I think a lot of people going into the game today against Arsenal were expecting a bit of a beating, a bit of a pounding. Not so, especially after their midweek result against PSV Eindhoven. They won 7-1 in the week. Us on the back of a 1-1 draw in Spain, and we've gone against second up in the Premier League, and we've come away with a draw. And you could probably argue, Mark, good evening, and Kai, good evening to you. But we're going to go straight into it and say, Mark, it's probably a case of 2 points dropped today.
Yeah, generally, I think that was their best chances in the game. It was there for us to take. For me, I just want to put my cards on the table. I don't want to hear about if we had a more elite number 9 or anything like that. It was just one of those when they're not falling for you. Another day, I think Hoyland scores. Declan Rice gets sent off. He doesn't make that great tackle.
A more
That's a one.
confident, a more confident Hoyland today would have put 2 or 3 of those chances away. We can't complain today about service. We can't complain. It was just purely
And
an
that's why service
unconfident.
needs to be the same every game. Same balls, same things, and then he can get that confidence because Declan Rice said himself at the end of the game, if he's 1 second out on that tackle, it's a red card for him, and or Hoyland scores. It's one way or the other, and that just shows he's getting in the chances. He's getting in the space, and you're slow to pull the trigger. Why are we slow to pull the trigger? We're nervous. We're nervous in front of goal. But yeah, in all, it was there. It was on the table for us today, and I think again we showed up for the big game, but we failed to take it.
Yeah, and Kai, what do you reckon? Like I say there, I'm pretty certain that a more confident Hoyland today puts those chances away, and we really can't complain about service because he was getting opportunities, and it was just a case of a lack of confidence, and like Mark said, just scared in front of goal at the minute.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think it's. I was saying it on X the other day that I think there's something that's probably gone with Hoyland's confidence in terms of just general striker play. So just doing some of the small little things which he was doing before. Because, for example, when he got here, it was clear that the problem was our wingers were too selfish because there were clear times where he was making the correct run and he wasn't getting the ball. But it sort of descended into this long run because, I mean, we have to be real. If you don't score goals that often and your whole thing about you is goal scoring, then you can imagine how much weight that takes every single game week because you see the what is it the substitutes board go up and then it says number 9 again and you haven't scored again and then it's consistent and then the next game you can see it, you can almost feel it coming. 72nd minute, you've just lost the ball, for example, the board comes up, it's you again. And I think it's almost gone from surely I can't go 5 games without scoring to oh no, I'm never gonna score. So I think even for Denmark when he joined us, he was scoring. I think he had like 9 goals in like 8 games or something. And now what you see, especially with today's chance, it's actually very funny that he pushes the ball on the inside when he's left-footed. So why would you push the ball on the inside towards a part where you can't actually do much? Because think about the finish actually. So if there was no striker, think about how how complicated the finish would have had to be. He was gonna have to either toe poke it or whatever because the ball was not positioned in the right place. But all he just needs to do is push it to his left hand side, and then it's going to be a penalty, like Mark said at some point. So for me, it's he's not thinking. I don't know how to say it. Is he overthinking or not thinking? But I just think his confidence is gone for him, and I just think he needs to score, right? Like he just needs to score a goal, and then the other things we can now start to talk about. But yeah, without scoring the goals, it's just like this. I think so. Yeah, I don't know how to explain it, but you just see that there's that lack of confidence that's there. Yeah.
Yeah, they're brilliant, mate. Vicky, good evening, Vicky. By the way, really good to see you. Mark, Vicky makes a really great point. Actually, is it ever helpful when you know confidence is an issue that the fans don't cheer him on? So obviously, when Xerxes got subbed off that time after a really abysmal first half, we obviously booed and hounded him, or not us personally, but the supporters in the ground did. And after that, he picked himself up, dusted himself off, and started playing really well, and we all applauded him for that. And then when he started coming on, we were cheering for him. It's just not happening for Hoyland. It doesn't seem to be resonating. I mean, it might. If you were at the game today, please someone let us know if we're completely wrong. But from where we were sitting and watching through the telly, it didn't really feel like there was much excitement about Hoyland coming on. But yeah, do you think maybe it's a case of if the fans sort of gave him a little boost, egotistically, I suppose you could say, from the crowd, maybe that helps him a little bit to say, oh, maybe the fans do still have a little bit of faith in me.
100%. 100%. Why? When you're lacking confidence in football, you need the other players around you to believe in you, and that's just I'm talking about generally as a football player. But when you're at that level and you've got 75,000 fans, you need them to believe that you're going to put that ball in the net as well. And you're right, Xerxes got a back in. Now, devil's advocate, did Hoyland not get back in because he had the same run last year, goals without a game, right? But people keep thinking you spent 70 million on him. No, we didn't. 70 million what was paid for a prospect, and we all know we overpaid for players. It was a 40 million pound player at best, as a striker from a poor league. Fans need to back every player. Like I was saying on our last show, we need to do everything together. There is no fan favourites. It is back Manchester United. Whoever is on the ball, we expect them to score. I wasn't expecting Bruno to score that free kick, but we'll back Bruno every time he kicks the ball up. Oh, he might do something. He might do something. Actually, he misses more than he scores, especially free kicks. It was a bit like when Ronaldo came back, kept taking every free kick and couldn't hit the barn door. But yeah, Hoyland, we say it quite straight on here. And the fact is, the amount of shots Garnacho has had to the amount of goals he has scored in, I think, 21 games. I think he's gone 21 games without scoring, or 22, or something like that. We're not saying anything about him. But he's playing in the number 10 role, and he's having something like averaging 10 plus shots a game when he plays 90 minutes. Hoyland's averaging less than 5. He doesn't create his own chances. Does he get on the end of the ball? No, not enough. That's what he needs to work on. But the ball's also not constantly being put in the box because Bruno and Garnacho are having 40 shots a game themselves. Do you know what I mean? Like whatever the average is, if you look at it, up now and see how many shots we had, but you can guarantee you they've gone to Bruno and from outside the box 9 times out of 10. Or is this the only game where it didn't happen? So as a striker, you're never getting confidence. Andy Cole was with Rio Ferdinand, I think last week or the week before, and his average was 1 goal to every 5 shots. 1 goal. And that's pretty much across the board, a top striker. I mean, the elite of the elite, no matter what age, whether it's the 90s, 2000s, 2010s, 1 in 5. So if you're not even creating 5 chances for him, he's never going to score.
But, I have to say, though.
Go for it, Kai. Go on.
The conundrum here is the fact that Hoyland doesn't do specific things that allow you to eventually be able to create chances. So, and like I was saying before, I think it's a confidence issue or whatever. But there's so many small things such as keeping the ball. It doesn't stick. So first touch, no pressure, it doesn't stick. And when it sticks, it takes about 3 touches for him to make a decision of when to release the ball, right? Real center forwards know that immediately as it's coming. I think Cavani is the last center forward we had where the moment he gets it, it's bang, wide, bang, 1 touch, bang, gone. Because they know that the further that ball goes, the quicker it goes, right? The quicker they can make a change of movement so they can make another run and then the other players figure it out, it goes out wide, and they can make a slow run into the box and time everything, right? But something is not sticking in that case. And I think Amorim said it a few months ago. He said that he takes too long to make a decision, too many touches before he releases. So already that's one aspect. The other aspect is he doesn't adjust according to the type of center forward he's playing. It's always the same. So if he's playing against Van Dijk, or if he's playing against Fabian Schär, he's doing the exact same thing. And for me, that says that you're not sort of reading or looking at how can I sort of help myself? How can I make my strengths shine a little bit more? So again, I don't know whose fault that is, and I don't know if that's the coach or that's the player over there. But again, that's another thing. So already there are already some fundamental things which don't even allow us to get towards goal, and I'm obviously not saying it's not on Garnacho or on Bruno or whatever. Of course they have their own part, right? But a lot of the times where these guys take the shots, right, they're almost impossible shots because again, there's not enough movement taking away from everybody. There's not enough movement around those areas for a reverse pass, right? Or one of those runs diagonal reverse pass, you can cut in decoy, right? Those type of things aren't happening enough. They're only happening once in a while. And then when the ball goes wide and it comes into the box, he doesn't get on the end of it, like you said, Mark, because sometimes his timing towards the ball is not correct. And again, I don't know if that's the player. And then for me, one of the biggest things don't which don't allow fans to really back him for me is he takes too long to get into position, right? I think we've all seen that. He's gassed up. Today he was a sub, right? But Arsenal were basically getting the ball all the way beyond, and you could see him just trotting along, jogging along, and those types of things. And what have we seen in Xerxes that's changed? He's charging everything, right? I've seen work ethic from Xerxes I've never seen, and that allowed me to just almost not even mind when he loses the ball sometimes because he's going at it. He's probably him and Bruno are the only guys that have been really pressing properly and aggressively. And I've really noticed that. And all of a sudden, we say, okay, fine, Xerxes. But he loses the ball a lot, Xerxes. But he turns into trouble a lot sometimes. He makes the wrong decision a lot. But we don't see those things anymore. We now see the good things because we also see the fact that he's really trying, right? And I think you have to score. Like Darwin Nunes, for example, the Liverpool fans have time for him because he does way too many other things which are good, right? So with Darwin Nunes, we talk about the amount of chances he misses. And then with Hoyland, we talk about the chances he doesn't get. And I think that's the conundrum. There's something in between which I don't understand. I don't know if you got a better winger, if all of a sudden Hoyland is making the correct decisions. I believe he's a very good finisher. I really do. He's actually a good finisher because when he's in front of goal, yes, but he doesn't get there enough. And I don't know why he doesn't get there, but other Premier League strikers, which I think like Marteta or like all the other, why do these center forwards make those movements versus against us? For example, we play with three center halves, and we always find in games one center forward scores the goal, a header finds a space in between always. So how that's for me, I don't know how to explain it. We can talk about tactics or confidence or whatever, but I don't think it's as straight as saying Garnacho and Bruno take too many shots and don't set up Hoyland, or Hoyland isn't good at certain things and it's all his fault. I just don't know. You know what I mean? Sorry, I spoke for long, but for
No, that's
me,
fine.
I've been thinking about it so much, and I just am trying to figure out where does he lie in there? Who is he better than? He is the worst Premier League striker if you have to look at goals, if we have to be honest with each other, right? So yeah, I don't know.
He's one of the most clinical.
That's the thing. He is one of the most clinical, but goal numbers wise, you're
Goals
now
for sure.
saying,
He's one of the most
wow,
clinical.
yeah.
So, Kai, there was a few things in there, and Vicky's put some great things in the chat. To come back, so first thing I want to say about is Hoyland's runs. So the last 3 games, I've seen some breakdowns of his runs where we're playing the ball over the top diagonally, and he's having to sprint out wide towards the corner flags. And I tell you what, you can, if you put it down to like times 0.25 and you watch it, he's sprinting out, and not one player is replacing him in the middle. So he sprints out wide. So imagine my hand is going out to the corner flag. Someone needs to come in right here, and that doesn't happen. They're like here or like here or here. And he's like, well, who's he passing to? So now he's got to hold the ball up, turn back to goal again, find a pass, find a cross to no other striker, and they just don't get in the box. So you see Amring on the sidelines telling them to play the ball, but we don't have the legs. We are so unfit. We're so unfit. We cannot sprint into the box over. Well, it's not even 50 yards because we're not going from halfway line to the byline. We're talking 20-yard sprints, which is basically doing your bleep tests at school. Right? So that Hoyland is being misused, but you also said, and this isn't a dig at you, but it's a really good point you made. He's doing the same things every game, no matter who he's up against. Now that sounds like a coaching instruction. Because you're right. If you're up against Van Dijk, the best in the world, and I want you to get up against him, pin him back, try and roll him, try and play someone in. Well, who are you seeing running past him? Who runs past him?
Yeah.
Xerxes can't run. Xerxes not a sprinter. I think we've all seen that. Marauding is the politest way I could put it, but marauding player forward. He sort of just, Jolie's like Vieira. He's got a really long stride and he glides across the thing, but he's not a sprinter. Bruno does, but he runs so much pressing, he then drops back into midfield and doesn't get forward again.
Yeah.
He drops out to the left looking to swing a ball in. Garnacho, he keeps dragging out wide, and someone's even, who was it? I think it was on the Europa League game. They keep saying Dorgu's going to come inside him into the 10 role. Well, that's not an instruction because Amarin's so set that he wants 2 10s behind the striker. So you play it in, lay it off, make your run. Exactly what you're saying. He's getting the ball. He's looking for someone. They're not there. They're not there in my eyes in the instructions. So it comes down to fitness and, well, generally at the moment, I think we've got one of the thickest teams going to coach because he's not giving them major instructions. He's giving them, be here, do this. And if it's not on, go back round, start again at the back. Because you see some players, that's what they do. The pass isn't on, they pass backwards and they work it out the other side.
Yeah.
No.
Vicky has put in here, breaking, Man United's pre-season tour is back in America.
Oh, no.
Forget it then. We are not rebuilding. All the time we have to go to America and play pre-season over there, your pre-season training is done. You are not running them into the ground. You are not getting them fit. They are on planes, trains, buses. I feel like I'm advertising a film. You know what I mean? They're doing every media thing going. Got to do open days. So when you do an open training session, you can't train the players. You just do warm-up drills. You can't actually physically train the players because you're giving away tactics. And we're Manchester United, straight away, that's all over the internet, what we're doing. Yeah, we're trying to recreate a football team. We're trying to build tactics.
The thing I have about with these pre-seasons is, and Naomi, who's brilliant, she's from Denver, and she's been to these games, and Hammer as well in New York, he's been to them. It's obviously great for fans across the world to see United. We get that. We absolutely get that. But when it's games that you will see every single week, so one of the games is Manchester United versus West Ham United.
It's no point.
Who wants that? Who in America is going, you know what I really want to
TV?
see? Yeah, games that you can see in the Premier League every single season, twice a season, and sometimes even in cups and stuff, you will see these games 3 or 4 times a year. Why would you do these? If you want to see big games like that, like we've not played, who have we not played? Juventus, AC Milan, Real Madrid. You know, there'll probably be a Real Madrid game, there normally is, but then it's things like Liverpool in pre-season. There'll be an Arsenal game in pre-season. And what about teams like in the Ineos umbrella? Is it like Nice? Is that one of them? Nice and teams like that?
Yeah.
if you're going to have pre-season tours, I have nothing against these pre-season tours. I hate the fact that they're all over the world, and there's no need for them. Get little pre-season tours like of playing against Salford in Manchester and put all the money that tickets go to back into the city of Manchester, or play a game in, I don't know, Wales for some local Welsh team and put all the money into a Welsh hospital, because United don't need money from these pre-season tours. It
Well,
is absolute. It's
we
an
do.
absolute cash. No, we don't, because this is the problem. The brand that we will get, it should resonate along with the football that we will be playing eventually. But the money, I mean, who gave the green light to approve this preseason? Vicky says, and I know exactly who's to blame. It's probably Ineos themselves that have gone, well, like Mark's just said, we need the money, so let's send them all to America, and then we all start the season. The next season we'll start with 3 or 4 injuries to key players because they've all been all overseas.
Yeah.
Mm.
Don't
So
get,
how?
But I
4
do think
weeks
that,
off. They don't get anything. Like, it's ridiculous.
yeah, but I do think the key though is probably more in how we handle the players, because I think we can look at preseason as the excuse for the injuries, but I do think we've had a terrible backroom staff in terms of just general physical nature. Because let's be fair, Liverpool travel Asia sometimes because that's where there's a big fan base. United used to go to South Africa when I was in South Africa. I used to watch United there for some games. So, I mean, the travel's always been there to a fair extent. But the way that we always managed it is you wouldn't see the big players. You would see the academy lads and some of the fringe players. And then you really give the big players a really good rest. And then you have a good plan to get them in. But back then we also had a good second string, right? So we could start the season, in a fair, in a fairly good way. But then again, I just think there's something has to be fixed in terms of what do we do with our players, right? Why does Kobe Mainu gain 60 kilos in the summer? While who's telling him to be big and buff when he was really strong when he was smaller and he could slide through? Lisandro Martinez, who's saying, all of these things. I think the physical nature for me is a bigger issue in terms of how we deal with it. Of course, yes. Plus the preseason, yeah, it could be somewhere else, but
Well,
the
Kai,
club really needs
go
to
back.
fix them.
Kai, go back to when you said. I think it was 2008. It was the last time we come to South Africa.
Mm,
I think Ben Foster talks about it a lot, so he was still in the squad. 2008 was the year, and then it feels like every year after that. Now it's constantly America, 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 America.
mm,
The
mm,
reason we went to South Africa was because it was an off year of a tournament.
mm,
So there's a tournament every 4 years. So 2 years you need a short tour, but you can make as much money out of. But you go somewhere where you're loved and adored, and you can get warm weather training,
mm,
high sweat levels to burn off those calories, like you were saying, for people put on over. So we would go to, say, South Africa on a tournament year, and then we go America on a non-tournament year, because you can still give players 2-3 weeks off, and then they
yeah,
can come back for 4 weeks of pre-season. What I'm saying is, and what Nathan's saying, you're right. We used to rotate players, but when you're going to America with a 21-man squad or whatever it is, and being told you've got to play Wrexham because they're the Disney contracts and they want a big Wrexham club, and then the following day, halfway across the world, again in America, like I say across the world, but it's still a 6-hour flight or something like that in America. Oh, are you playing Real Madrid the next day? What? So we're now taking a 40-man squad because you've got 11 players on the pitch, 8 subs, to a different 11 players on the pitch, 8 subs, because
mm,
we have more subs in pre-season. We're wasting money taking those players. There's too many players for the coach to coach into his formation, so that some of them are standing around. Maybe I'm too old school. I want to see players running doggies. I want to see them really getting that fitness up. Now, if you're doing it with a good backroom staff, injuries shouldn't go up. Yeah, because they've all got their heart rate monitors, they've got everything like that on, all their tracking. But I can tell you now from experience, if you're not fit at the end of pre-season, you will not get fitter through the season. That is a fact, because every time you play a game, you then rest. After
So
3 or 4
I'm,
days, you
I'm gonna
lose.
go on, Mark. Finish your point. Sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, after 3 or 4 days, you lose fitness. What's the average? If we manage to stay in Europe, how many games do we play a week with cup matches? We push sometimes in the year up to 3 games in a week. So the players don't train. We know that. Amrin's come and said, I can't work with the players. So pre-season is the most pinnacle part of a season. And once your fitness is up there, it stays up there, and it doesn't get so hard to get back. But right now, we can't afford to go to America financially. It's wasting money. I know they're saying it's speculate to accumulate. We go there, we might bring in loads of revenue from people buying the tickets, £200, £300, £400 a ticket for the stadium instead of 60 quid. But we're losing out long term on the players, the injuries, and everything else because they're not fit.
Right, so let me just give you the fixtures of what it is. It's the Premier League Summer Series. That's what it's called. Manchester United return to the US for the pre-season preparations. Blah 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 blah. Blah 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 blah. Club legend Andrew Cole. Blah blah blah. America is great. Blah blah blah. United's first of 3 fixtures will be against West Ham in New Jersey. The clash will see the Reds return to MetLife Stadium. Blah blah. Next, the team will travel to Chicago to face Bournemouth at Soldier Field. And then the final Summer Series feature will take place at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta against Everton.
So they're.
Everton, Bournemouth, West Ham.
And what are the dates?
Well, now you're fucking telling me. Now you're asking. Oh, I've just got a picture of Gavin now. Look at that. Can you see that? Just Gary Neville sat on a sofa. Look. Oh, look at me.
Mister, I can't say a bad word. I'm not in with them.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. United's fixtures: 26th of July, 31st of July, 3rd of August.
So 26. So they play on the 26th, rest day 27th, or rest/travel. Yeah, it's a game every 4 days, isn't it?
And that's just the Summer Series. There'll be, like you say, there'll be these exhibition matches against people like Wrexham, and Birmingham City probably will be one of them because of the big American interest over there. Burnley probably as well.
Yeah.
You're probably looking at about 6 games across 6 different states in the space of, 2-3 weeks?
Yeah. Yeah, with all the open training sessions, the media days. I follow a lot of American sports, and even when we're over there, it's as if it's an NFL game. They do the open, they do talking to. You see a lot of interviews coming out throughout the first half of the season, where they've obviously been talking to them, prior to whatever game it is, but they don't release it for 2 months so they can drip feed it out. Yeah, I'm not for America for the tour constantly. I think it's boring as hell.
It's not something I ever watch, I have to say. I don't bother. I know there's a few people that I talk to in group chats and stuff. They get quite into it. But, yeah, I mean, like I said, Hammer's been to the one at, I think it was SoFi Stadium when we played Arsenal a couple of years ago. Or it might have been the MetLife, actually. Could be wrong, but either way. And Naomi went and did one for her Mentally United channel. I think that was when they played Real Madrid. I could be wrong. But, again, they get into it, obviously, because America's a big market for United. There's an element of it, and like Vicky said earlier, well, she said I was right, which hell is frozen over in that sense, but I appreciate the comment. Just keeping Adidas happy. That's all it is. And that's all it is. It's keeping the brands happy. The amount of brand deals that we've now got with American-based companies, that's all it is. And these American-based companies want to give corporate day outs to their big CEOs at the end of the year. Oh, do you want to come and sit in a box at MetLife Stadium and see Bruno Fernandes, who's absolutely worked his ass off for 12 months of the year? Oh, he's going to put around here now. It's just not fair.
Don't worry about it. It's 100 degrees heat
Yeah, don't worry about it.
And you
And I
expect
know
high level.
the argument will be, like we always say, these players are professional athletes and they get paid a serious amount of money to do what they do, and they should be privileged. But there are players such as Bruno Fernandes who's had to carry this team this season and really pulled us out of the dark stuff most of the season. And he's now going to be forced, because probably contractually he's going to be forced to have maybe a week off with his family and then fly to America and play 3 games in 6 days. Because he is the poster boy, because now Rashford's gone, nobody wants to hear about him anymore. And these some of these players that are going to be going, full well aren't going to be playing at United next year. Ericsson will probably be forced to go on this tour. He won't be playing for United next year.
Well, that's a different story. Think about it. You say Ericsson, all these ones that we think we'll get rid of, Casemiro. We're trying to negotiate contracts, or it's not contracts, sorry, departures. So Casemiro will try and get to go somewhere else. So he'll play and then fly all the way around the world to go sign for another team. I think that this comment about Ineos not acting any different to the Glazers is spot on. Like, money makes money, and the players are just cogs in the wheels to make them money. They do not care about players. No, I see very few top clubs caring about their players anymore.
Kai, go for it.
That's my opinion. I just think that we are means to an end. Go out there. Oh, he's injured. Well, we'll buy someone else. Well, and then the money dries up. You see. So yeah, it's just ding ding round 2.
Yeah,
I think it's spot on. I think it's ding ding round 2 with Glazers there. Now Ineos, one of the biggest pharmaceutical companies in the world, wants their American partnerships, and they're going to go for that as well.
go on, Kai, shout him, say something.
So now the Ineos thing is always so interesting to me, because I'm a person who sort of says, look, I understand that people spend their money and then they buy something and then they do what they do. Um, and also, I don't know how long we need to wait to be able to see some sort of a thing, right? So I do think now maybe it's too early to say we haven't seen anything completely. I would say, because you can always see the plan in the summer. You can always see the real plan a little bit further. Um, and their plan last summer wasn't great. Uh, so that must be said. And I mean, judging by the players and their performance levels, you can also see the one thing that didn't improve is the one thing that we've known for the last 5 years in the Premier League, which is physical level. They have not improved that, which is crazy to me, because they had I don't know if they still were owning what is it, the bicycle team, or the trek, what is it called, the cycling team, there you go. And I actually read up quite a lot on them, looking at their 1% marginal gains thing, and I was like, yeah, that's fair enough. That could apply in a lot of things. And for me right now, I'm in the stage where I'm like, is it still the 1%? Like, is it do we just have to wait and see small little pieces of growth until we see the bigger picture? um I don't know how much they are controlled by what the Glazers really think, right? Because if you're not majority holder at the end of the day, someone's still going to say yeah or nah. Did they really know how bad the financial situation was before you commit to buy 25% at that stage? Again, I think that's why there wasn't as much interest as that. um so for me, it's a lot of things. Like, genuinely, I'm just thinking sometimes you make a bad business decision, you go in there and you're like, whoa, you guys owe that much money, really, seriously? Nah. And then they're like, rip up everything that we had planned before, because all of a sudden Juventus and this have called saying, yo, you haven't finished paying for the players. You still got this guy on your books, but you still need to pay us. Do you guys got the money now? Now they're thinking, oh my goodness. and then PSR gets tighter, everyone's getting deducted points, and then everyone's panicking. So I'm just thinking to myself, in reality, is it not just a case of shit hit the fan, and then we have to do what makes sense for this club to go forward? And it's just a very difficult decision because they are in a business. Uh, or do they not care about specific aspects and all of that? And and then the fan thing. So I'm always caught in between because if we're willing to say, they're a pharmaceutical company and they were a successful company in this, then we have to also say, okay, so they do know how to run a business. Maybe not football, but United is struggling money wise as a business. So are they not saying, yo, guys, as a business, for us to even try to compete in any case, we have to focus on business things. So unfortunately, what happens when a business is struggling, someone's getting retrenched. It doesn't matter where it is, what business it is. The owner says the first thing that happens is someone suffers and loses their job. So is that not what is happening? Is there, so for me, it's again, I'm on the fence because I'm not in it. I can only see it from far away. I can only read about it. I know people's lives are affected and it's a reality, but then again, as a business that is leaking and that does not have the money to do certain things they used to be able to do, what do you do if you're a businessman and you're stuck in this? Like, what is your key? I know maybe your communication needs to be better. Maybe the way that you address certain things, maybe we don't hide behind the media to announce things. Maybe we are more forefront and say, guys, this is the plan, but I don't know there. But anyways, that's my take on that sort of thing. I don't know who to blame. I just know the Glazers are shite, and it's their fault. Like they've literally just watched the greatest team of all time just melt in front of their eyes, and it's their fault. So that part I give to them. But for Ineos, I'm like, if I spend money, I would now like to see a return in reality as a business. And how can I do this? And maybe I do this by doing something that's very difficult and that does not look great on my name at all. So I'm just willing to give it some time because I don't know. So yeah, sorry.
No, brilliant. No, really good, mate. Really good. Yeah, Vicky makes a brilliant point. We should get back to the game itself. And I was going to bring this up, actually, Vic. So
Yeah,
really well done for pointing it out to me. Aid in Heaven was unbelievable in that
top
second half.
top class.
There was one ever so slight mistake, I think, when we were on the attack and it sort of hit him in the chest and into his hand, but that wasn't his fault. Not the one where they claimed for a handball. There was a second opportunity, but apart from that, really got to give him his credit. And another really good point, Vicky Mazraoui, working on an injury, but was unbelievable today. Really, really star player.
Top.
Ron, absolutely agree. Heaven came on and showed that he is not frightened at all, and hopefully we'll get more game time.
Yeah.
Where are we? Evening Tactical Devils, really good to have you. I haven't seen you for a little while. We will be chatting away from here at some point. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. With Martinez, yeah, Ron makes another really good point here. Martinez being injury prone, he looks like the natural successor, probably earlier than later. We created a few decent chances in the second half. Mark, do you want to come on the back of that? Because I saw that you want to go over it, so
Yeah.
fire away.
Aiden Heaven. I covered him a couple of weeks ago when he stepped in for in the under-21s, and I thought he looks in the system. He looked out of place, and yet he steps in today. I think we can put probably 60% down about how you raise your game when you're playing against your previous club. There was a point to prove today for him. He came on and he's like, I will show you why you should have given me this contract. And, I'm all for that. That's what I want to see from 11 players on the pitch. And Aiden Heaven, yeah, he just slotted in so smoothly into that position. Like you say, there one mistake or one. It's not even a mistake. Stuff happens like that in football. It hits you in the chest, and you're like, oh, you just switched off for a split second. This is the Premier League, and that's what can happen. But he's natural successor to Martinez. Yeah, I think so. I was expecting our pecking order at the start of the season to be Luke Shaw left-sided centre back. Oh, sorry, when Amarin come in, and we thought he was going to start. So Luke Shaw be that left-sided centre back. and Martinez to drop out, and we can say bye to Luke Shaw because he ain't coming back from those injuries, especially the leak that came out about he doesn't even warm up properly. Martinez is now out injured with what's, he's already had one ACL injury, and now we've got another long term. He could just be, this could be 2-3 years before he gets himself properly fit again. Heaven, yeah. Appropriately named, because that's what we need at the moment is a gift from God to get our season back on track. So, yeah.
But physically, Mark, what do you think physically? Because I think he's ready physically. Because normally that's a telltale sign to see how he copes with the grown-ups in the Premier League. Not getting pushed off the ball. I think Martinelli. I think there was one where he was chasing back with Martinelli, and he just kind of barges him off it a little bit, ends up on the ground, pushes it forward, stride. So I think it looks a little like physically. I know he probably had a little bit more. What is that adrenaline in him today? But what do you think about physically when you look at him in terms of how he can cope, especially covering space as well?
Yeah, you said about Mainu putting on the extra bulk and things like that. And every player has their natural playing weight, and then they're told what they have to build up in this area. This looks like his natural weight. This looks like his body has just filled out naturally. This is his size. And yeah, how he was against these players, that's what I'm saying. How many times has he been up against these day in, day out, training with Arsenal's first team? So his performance was great, but the coach side of me goes, these are the players you know how to defend against. So in the back of my head, I can't get the feeling of I need to judge him over the next couple of teams he plays against when he doesn't know the players. Because now he already knows that, right, Martinelli's running at me. He's obviously left-footed. He's going to want to cut inside. So if I keep him out, that's his weak side. Vice versa, if he'd been up against Saka, Havertz, whoever he comes up against. But yeah, naturally, physically, he looks like an athlete.
Yeah.
That sort of triangular, sort of wide shoulders, big set build, but his legs were pumping and he could run. I just spotted this. I'm glad he picked Heaven over Obi. I really wanted Obi to play as well because I think that's what he could have given as well today. And sometimes it's great. Of anyone who's ever been there, I think you could play Sunday League football and play against an old side, that you played for before. There is a spark in you that goes, I will prove you wrong. And if Heaven could have done it, maybe Obi could have finished one of those. We don't know. We don't know. But they are something for the future. But talking about body shape, if Heaven's got this triangular build, wide shoulders frame, and Obi's up front, Obi doesn't look built for the Premier League yet. Now, he's young. He's filling out. He's not even reached his body size, natural body size. I always remember Scott McTominay. We see Scott McTominay as who left us. He was, I think, over a foot shorter.
Yeah, he was small. Yeah.
He's a small player. So he filled out fast. And I think that's part of his issue was he's now just getting more used to it. So, yeah, it's bright for those players. The Mazraoui thing that's on here, I'll let someone else cover that.
Poor finish, Mazraoui. Poor finish. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
He should score. He has to score.
Don't try.
He has to leather it. Exactly.
Absolutely.
Like emphatically, like that. He has to go into the back of the net with the ball rolling
Garnacho
inside.
done the same Thursday night. Garnacho done it twice Thursday night. He tried to place it near post, and you're thinking, just put your laces through it across the goal, and it hits someone else and goes in. But that's a defender shooting. Let's remember that.
No, it's fair enough. And it was a good save. It was a good instinct save as well.
I'm not sure where Roy Keane was getting well class from because it actually flicks off his shin, and he doesn't flick his leg out. It's bounced, hit his shin. He spread himself, but well class is a bit of pushing it.
So it appears, chaps, that there's a bit of controversy surrounding our free kick. This is Mikel Arteta on the Arsenal wall being 11.2 yards away from Bruno Fernandes' free kick. He's been smart and he took advantage. That is football. He's been
Right.
smarter than the ref. That's okay. They allowed him to do that. And then Amarin came back and said this. It was clear that both free kicks, Odegaard's in the second half. So when it's your free kick, you don't say anything. When it's the opponent, you try to push because it's a big difference. It was fair for one of us, one for them. We had Bruno and he solved the problem. I'm sorry, but you can't blame a free kick on 1.2 yards.
He's crying.
Seriously?
He's crying, Arteta. He's crying again.
Have you seen the clip of him when he was asked if the title challenge is over and he's just walked off? He hasn't said a thing. He's literally just got up and just gone. Yeah,
He is a giant child.
Nah, he's crying. But do you know what's funny about this is is the fact that you can actually see Arteta's youth at periods of seasons. You just start to see certain things that is just like shame, shame. This was one that he didn't have to say anything. He literally didn't have to say anything.
They had the same decision, as you're
Yeah.
saying. They had one that's 11. And surprise, surprise, that just means that ref's got a large stride. So we're talking a yard extra, but over 10 steps, it's like 0.2, 0.2, 0.2, 0.2.
Yeah,
Now you got a
exactly.
yard.
That's what I'm saying.
Jesus Christ, man! Like it's easier. The further back the wall is, it's easier to get your shot up and down, right?
Yeah.
Bruno got his up. It doesn't come down. It goes straight in, but also clips the wall. So if the wall was
it's a beautiful
forward,
free kick. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
And Mark, the funny thing is, he's not taking responsibility for exactly what happened. What he'll be saying would be, "My wall did not do their job." How do you have 6'2", 6'4" Gabriel just watching the ball sail over his head?
Yeah.
Why would you have a draft excluder? Why would you have a guy lying on the ground if you
I don't
guys
even
aren't going
understand
to
that.
jump? Right.
That's
So
taking
if
the
you're
player
not,
out from marking.
exactly.
So this is what Declan Rice had this to say on it. It felt like a couple of us jumped and some of us didn't, but I've not seen it back.
Exactly.
It felt like the ball flew over us at quite a low height. So
Yeah.
from the wall's perspective, we could have done a lot better. The
Exactly.
wall did feel far back, even on our free kick when Martin took it. They felt far back.
Yeah.
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 Exactly. That's fair.
So that's the decision the ref has made.
That's fair.
You both had it. You both had one shot on goal. Bruno put his in. Odegaard didn't. But if you watch it back, Bruno hits the wall. There was movement on that ball after he's hit it. He's either knuckleballed it. I haven't gone back and slowed it down, but there's definite movement on the ball where it clips it, and it's not even in the corner. As Roy Keane said, it's not in the corner.
No, but if you have a look again, I don't think it touches the wall. Literally, because the wall doesn't. They just watch it. It's almost like one of those where they just watch it sail over their head, type of a thing.
Sort of thing.
Yeah. So I just think he's not taking responsibility. All he needs to say is, "Yo, listen, my wall didn't jump. We didn't do something. Their wall jumped when they got the free kick. Fine margins." Actually, Odegaard's not a good free kick taker, anyways. When you have to look
that was
at the
crap.
numbers,
His attempt.
so it's not really. He's just left-footed, so it's not like there was any expectation. In fact, I don't know any Arsenal fan that was like, "Oh wow, Odegaard's going to score this free kick." So I don't even know what the.
I said at the start of the show, didn't I? I wasn't expecting Bruno to score that free kick.
Yeah, true, but
the amount he misses to
Yeah,
what
But
he's
to be fair, I have
one the
noticed.
other day. I'm thinking he's
Yeah.
not scoring another one for a couple of weeks.
yeah,
Yeah.
at the very least, at least you kind of expect something just because it's Bruno, right? That's like you said before.
I mean, I normally every game that we do predictions for, I normally say Bruno Fernandes penalty. So I'll take a Bruno Fernandes free kick today.
We're 50% right. Yeah, you got Bruno Fernandes set piece. So
Yeah.
about 60-40.
Yeah, that'll
You know,
be all right, wouldn't it?
Lads, I just had one question
Go for it.
for either of you in terms of looking at just for the future with Amarim's structure, because in these type of games, for example, when we sit back, right, we play decently well, we can counter decently well, but actually the weakness of the team is opening us up. Like that is basically what we cannot do. So how do you then balance that out? Because against Leicester, for example, we want to open up, but then their legs are going to get directly in behind us. But actually, our strength is closing up because also our inbox defending is better than when we have to be chasing back. So, how do we, because we can't go defensive all the time, right? I don't know if we probably should, but that's our strength to do that, but it's directly our weakness to open up regardless of who we play.
It's difficult because Amarim said it after the game, and I've got it here as you say that. So he was asked about the change in tactic today, and he said we adapted to try and win. We did well. Of course, we don't want to play like that, defending too much and giving the ball to the opponent. But with all the games, with all the problems, and then the characteristics of the players, try to adapt and imagine the game that we could win. And we proved that today. In the low block, we control the game more. And then we have some good players for transition. I think Garnacho especially made a really complete game. He was upset last Thursday, and today he was amazing. And like you say, it's a case of, in the situation we're in the league, where we've got nothing to lose and nothing to win, you have to just try these things against the bigger teams. And it's obviously worked against Liverpool, where we drew against them. And it's obviously worked against City, where we beat them at the Etihad. To then draw with Arsenal today, it has to open the question up now. If you're going to go in against, like you say, Leicester next in the league, surely you've got to play a sort of similar type of game, but with a bit more, because we've always done well on the counter attack. That's always been, especially in the Ten Hag era, we've never really had a problem with the counter attack in football. It's just controlling the pace of the game when we've got the ball. When we've had the low block like we've had today and controlled the game without the ball, you haven't really noticed anything like bad with the way we've played. So it's getting that balance between having control of the ball and the low block and having the counter attack in football. That's the issue that we've got, whether we try and do all three or just focus on one. And it does seem like Ruben's probably going to revert to type now, especially in the game on Thursday, where we've got to win. And then we've got to beat Leicester in this relegation 6-pointer. So, yeah. Mark, what do you think?
So our DNA is, and has been for 10 plus years, is counter-attacking football. All the players we bring into our club have been or brought through our club is quick transitional football. Yeah, we hear it all the word transition all the time. We get the ball over, we turn it, and that's it. We sprint in behind. Since Mourinho, low block, that's what he was known for. But there's a real reason why I felt he played that today, because this shows that he plays 3-4. Well, you can break it down however you want it, but it's 3-4-3, right? They want to call it 3-4-2-1. But where we've been lacking over the last 10 games is we get the ball, we go on the attack, we have a naive shot, and they tackle us, then we can't get back. Yeah. So what he's done today is close that transitional gap for the midfield. The midfield had to do less running. By having a lower block, it was a sprint forward, sprint in behind, and we knew the mid. Like, if Maguire was playing, you knew Maguire is never sprinting from the 18-yard box to the halfway line trying to keep up with transition, right? So being set further back gave Arsenal no space to play the ball in behind. They couldn't run at us and exploit us in the wing-back positions. And then we just counter. How many long balls do we play? We've got a few long ball specialists, haven't we? Normally, to the corner flags. That's where the main ball goes in behind. It's clipped over the top, diagonal. The last couple of games we've been playing this diagonal, delit all the way out to the left fullback or left number 10. So I got the tactics today. It's the sort of thing I would do against a better team that's attacking you. But you say, against Leicester aren't going to come at us going, we've got to win this game, we're going to win the league.
It could be a low block versus a low block. Imagine if just both teams just sat back.
Exactly.
But the thing is, the part of the problem, right, is the fact that nobody or very few teams play a proper low block against Manchester United anyways, because they know that it's a basketball game either way. So, for example, like I'm saying, if you as a coach, right, Mark, you think, okay, cool, I've got this team that's better, So the way I'm going to set up, so that we're lower, we cover the space, we're a little bit more compact. Cool, right? If you play maybe another team that you say, okay, cool, this one, that's a mid-table team, we're going to be better than them, no problem. Then you say, okay, cool, your tactic is a little bit more expansive, right? Fair enough.
Yeah.
But what happens when your specific weakness, your soft underbelly, the worst thing about your team is when there's any bit of space on the pitch? It
Yeah, they
means
don't
that
have
your
somewhere.
preparation is terrible, right? Like you're thinking to yourself, okay, it's a mid-table team. I'm coming to play them, but they also know that that is one of your biggest weaknesses. The fact that if we can manipulate you, right? Because that's what all the teams do. They just manipulate the space so that they lead us over there. We split a little bit. Someone doesn't do something. All of a sudden, there's someone standing in the middle. They turn, and then we are just all over the shop. And this is when we play teams that we should not be worse than. This is when we play any team that we think we're better than. It ends up being that team controlling possession, or that team playing in between the lines, or that team popping it off, one touch, two touch. All of a sudden, they create the bigger chances, and then we create the worst chances. And that's what I mean, that United's worst problem is the fact that any bit of space, any little space on the pitch, if it's there and the opposition have it, dead. But the strength is, or a little more of the strength is, no space at all. But the only no space at all we can do is what we did today. That's the best thing that we can do. And we talk about adapting to the player's strengths. The player's strengths are not space. The moment you do what Ten Hag did, you already have gaps, and we have 30 shots faced against. It's happening, right? The moment you expand, we've seen it even under Ole, the moment you expand it to, all right, we're doing press now. We're doing the press work and we're doing this. Done. We're done. Everyone's popping everything in between the lines. So that's why I mean that as a coach, it's a difficult one, because
Yeah.
you're like, what am I going to do against Leicester? Because I know for a fact they're going to come and they're going to go at it. And the moment we create a little bit of space between, we can't catch up. We know the moment someone turns a corner in midfield and starts running at us, we're done. We don't have the legs. The moment Casemiro has time, or Casemiro gets the ball today, he wasn't on the ball, so it didn't look that bad. It was perfect for him because he was doing all the good work. It was compact. But in the smaller games, you say, Casemiro, I need you to get the ball and to play a one-touch pass. But he's getting smothered the moment he gets the ball. So that's the weakness, any type of space. So that is such a conundrum for me, because I'm looking at it always, because I'm like, how do we play? It's just, you know, yeah.
So we don't want to cover on this too much, but for our under 18s, we play 3-5-2. Okay.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not straight lines and all of that. You get holding midfielders and everything. But
God,
the
I
main
miss 4 4
thing
2.
I've seen them say is how you have to run back in straight lines.
Yes. Yeah.
You'll notice a lot of the Man United players don't do it.
Mm.
They run back. They're out of position. They've made the diagonal run through, and then they run back diagonally. So you're running
Yeah.
twice the distance you need to.
Yeah.
The fast. Oh, it's like my granddad used to say. If you run forward at 10 miles an hour, you've got to run backwards at 20 miles an hour. You've got to get back behind the ball before they can get up on you. And that's all Amarins keeps trying to do. So again, it still feels like he's coaching. But if you've got two holding midfielders, if you've got three at the back, you can imagine if you do it with your fingers, there's three players, the two holding midfielders getting like this. That creates your five.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got your fullbacks creating the wingers. So you should have a flat five almost, and then three, and these tens get back in. So you just come back into literally a 4-5-1, and they don't do it. So you're saying about the cutting off the space and stopping these spaces. There should always be one player unmarked on the pitch if you're pressing a team. So if they come down the right, you can double up over here and leave their left, the left player, because he's got to play a ball all the way across the pitch, and you can shuffle over in that time or step out to it. If that's the only free pass they've got, you've got a chance of pressing, turning the ball over, and then your fullbacks have to go, or wing backs in our case. You've got to play a couple of passes through midfield, because that wing back is not going to go from a right back, a right midfielder to a right forward in a second. And that's what we don't do. We can't play 3, 4, 5 yard passes to progress the ball up the pitch and then play it into the corners to get the ball in the box. So it breaks down. All comes to the midfield. All comes to the midfield. How many times you said Casemiro? I love Casemiro. He's like one of my all-time favourite
I
players.
love him as well.
But he'll get the ball and he'll literally be on a half turn and spin it in, float it over the top, and it's always going out wide for someone to run onto. And you're like, oh, he's just giving it away. No, he hasn't. Someone's been told to make that run, and they're not going. And then you get Bruno pinging a 40, 50-yard ball diagonally to a corner flag. They're two different passes. So when we're talking about Højlund goes for that ball. Now he'll have to hold up for everyone else to catch up with him. And we can't build that play up, so we might as well start again. So you start pushing yourself backwards. And 9 times out of 10, Højlund's getting like 2-3 men around him because he's isolated. So it's
lack of rotation as well. That's also why we can't get out with the passing, because we don't rotate well. So the two central midfields are basically just moving lateral, down, up, down, and the wingers are staying. They're not rotating with anyone. The 10s are also rotating. So
if Ugarte goes and Bruno was playing in the 10, he won't drop into Ugarte's position.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's not my job. My job's this one, because they're all focusing on one job at the moment.
Yeah.
And that's why I was so irate about this American tour, because in this formation you have about 3-4 jobs. You are the 10, but defensively you might it be a 4-4-2 set. We don't know how he wants to set it or breaking the press. If we get turned the ball over and we go, he might want to up top. But these players at the moment, they're just like, oh, I've done my job. And we keep seeing it. That's why the hand comes up. Sorry, lads. Doing the Dallo, as I call it this season. Sorry. I was in the wrong place. I made my mistake. So,
But that also could just be also an instruction, because, from what it seems from Sporting, Amorim does work in stages, right? It starts from the first third, and then it goes to the middle to the final third. So he's got his own process. So maybe what we're seeing is we're better defending deep like this, because that's what he's working on now. And like you said, the instruction is not switch positions, do all of this, because once that happens, there's probably some sort of confusion. So maybe we'll see it, because there's no way, watching Sporting play, there's no way that they don't know how to rotate. There's no way that they don't know how to play one-touch passes. There's no way they don't know how to play up, down, through, and making those runs. So I think, it's one of those that we have to wait it out to see a few more of those principles, like you're saying, in that.
We move on. Sam Allardyce famously said, you can't lose a game if you don't concede a goal. And let's be fair, he's right. If you get the defending right first, then you build. So if you stop the goals going in, then you build going forward.
Absolutely. Let's very quickly, before we wrap up, I can't believe how long we've been going. Absolutely flying by. Absolutely ridiculous. But we have to mention it and we have to talk about it. Amorim on the protests after the game, he was asked by Sky Sports what did he make of the protests, and he said, and I quote, "This club will never die. That is clear. You feel it in the streets and not just in the stadium. But this is a big business, and maybe all the fans around this league felt that sometimes it's harder to go to games to pay for the tickets, and that is normal. We have also. In the Premier League, we receive a lot of money, and they have to address that because they started this passion from the fans, and we have to pay attention to that. But it's a difficult situation. We just want to give them a lot of effort. Sometimes in the low block, I know it's frustrating, but in the future, we are not going to play like that. But in the moment, we just have to try and win games." Obviously, there was protests before the games, massive protests, and well done to hear everyone that put that together. It was really, really well done, really beautifully done, and really, really powerful images coming out of Old Trafford today, before and after the game. So everyone from especially 1958 and FC United and Manchester that maybe got involved in stuff like that as well. Really, really well done. But my take on it is that it just needs to happen every game now until things change, things happen that are going to actually take for granted. And it's a bit of a kick in the face, like Vicky said earlier, and we've spoken about it, that even though we had these protests today, it's things like that. We've already spoken about it. It's the preseason tours in America that are just the cash cows that so many fans are against. And I know we've spoken about it already, but yeah. So really well done to everyone that did those protests today, and it was really, really well put together. Go on, gents. Why don't you take it? Take us home.
Well,
Go for
I'd
it,
like
Mark.
to say, I'd like to say about the protest because we spoke about it last week, and I said it. Nothing's going to happen until the match going fans, the online fans, as they're now referred to as. I thought we were just all fans, but this finally, it felt like 1958 listened to the feedback they got from a couple of the YouTube interviews they done. I know Goldbridge said, like, talk to me. I got 2 million. Yeah, no, but he's got 2 million people he can put it out to. And they did. They put out an agenda, didn't they? If you're there, do this. We're meeting, blah, 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 blah. If you're not at the game, tweet, do this, do that. So they listened. It's like we put it out and then all these other channels backed it. So their fan base could be making it all, it's the hashtag, isn't it? Like use this hashtag, do that. It felt like we were a bit more united today. But you're right. This is just one game. What? Because we were on Sky and it's Arsenal. No, do it every game. I can't tell someone who's paid for something to not enjoy it because I'd give my left arm to give up my job, go live in Manchester and be able to go to every single game. I can't do that, but
Amen.
yeah, but we all would as fans. That's what being a fan of the club is. But we've all got one goal, and that is to get back to the top. But the first part of that is getting money grabbers out of this club in the Glazers, and then we can start judging everything out. When we're spending over 2 billion on bloody interest payments and the actual money we spend, because a lot of people's just seen 1 billion in interest. Don't forget, you spent 1 billion to get 1 billion interest. If we can't correct that, we can't move forward. And today, I felt like we were, for the very first time, a united fan base.
I agree. Kai, anything to add?
Yeah, no. Agreed. Definitely. I think the issue is always that the fans are always fractured at every point, and I think that we've at some stage lost the united part of the Manchester name. And I think, of course, on social media, there's just more opinions, more varying opinions, a lot more people that are there for money versus being a fan. So it also seems like there is a divide. So I do think that it was also good to see a fair bit of protest in that case. Because I've always thought fans from Manchester United don't necessarily do enough for the amount of clout that we have, the amount of power that we actually have for the club. I think it's some people find it better to make a living off the club than trying to burn it to the ground so that it goes up better, right? To trying to do their best in that case. So yeah, it's one of those. So I'm glad that there was something that was united in this case.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Really well done, guys. I'll be honest with you guys. Before we came on air, we said we'll probably keep it short, 30 to 45 minutes, and we've blasted through the hour mark. So, Jonathan, if you're watching, I apologise. I've clearly failed tonight as host and co-owner, but absolutely really enjoyed it, and everyone in the comments, and Vicky, absolutely brilliant. Really, really great to see you back online and back watching. We would love to have you back as well. So, if you ever want to do it,
Show, Vicky.
yeah, get you back. We need to get you on. But really, really brilliant. And yeah, Mark, where can we find you? What are you up to?
I'm at the business end of the season now, coaching wise. So I'm winding down on that for our age groups. But just pick my Twitter up from here. It's just at language7. Let me know what your thoughts are on anything that I may have said or anything you'd like us to bring up. Otherwise, you'll see me around a lot of the different United fan streams.
Yeah. And Kai, as always, really great to have you on, mate. How are you doing? How's the family? All good?
Yeah, no, the family's good. The family's good. The kid just turned 1 a few days ago, so I'm happy to have a child that's been alive for a year. This is a massive one. I struggle to keep myself alive every day. Okay.
Amen.
So yeah, no, so it's going really good. The team I'm coaching, we're currently on a title charge. So um, we dropped our first points in 13 games. Imagine that. I'm sad. But we're going well. And yeah, life is good. Find me on X at Kai underscore Gozo. Yeah, just a chill guy. Life is life, you know.
Amen. No, it's great to have you, mate. And yeah, you can find me at Nate Dales on Twitter. Keep an eye on our socials. And if you've enjoyed the show, as we have, yeah, like and subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your family. And if you want to get involved in the channel, just head over to our Twitter, click the DM button, slide straight into there, and let me know what team you support and what you want to say on the show. And we will have you. We are recruiting all kinds of fans from United all the way across. So, yeah, absolutely. And yeah, just keep an eye on our socials for any more shows coming up. And yeah, thank you so much. And we will see you soon.
Great.